Magandang gabi po sa inyong lahat. Welcome back to Lira in Law. Thank you very much for joining me. Ang pangalan ko po, I am your host, of course. Ang pangalan ko po, Lira Simon Kabatbat of Douglas Simon Solicitors. Abogado po ako in the UK. Actually, February na tayo, no? February 2026. Next week, I think, next week or the week after, it could be next week, I will have been a solicitor, post-qualification experience for 33 years next week. My goodness me, where has time gone? Dear me, 33 years, over 3 decades. Hindi pa kasama yung pag-aaral ko, yung training ko. So if you actually add my studies, which was 4 years in total, 3 years, tapos 1 year at Solicitors Finals nga. And my 2 years training, I'm knocking on nearly 4 decades in law. But anyway, so next week, and so I'm quite looking forward to seeing you next week. I've been doing this so long that I can't actually remember the exact date, but I know it's February, So I will have been post-qualification experience 33 years. Wow, what a double digit, no? And so I'm particularly grateful to you for joining me. I know inumpisa natin to, yung broadcast nga natin 5 years back when it was COVID, 6 years back. Right? Because of course now we're 2026 and we're February 2026. Because I remember in about January to 2020, January 2020, all these issues have come. It started. Came about. It started of course before that, but of course there were issues with travels and all of that, and that's really how we started, no? And I know, meron tayong mga kababayan hanggang ngayon, no? They still following us. And they do say hello. And please, if you're watching, do say hello. You know who you are, no? Who actually started making contact nga during COVID, no? So we also have that anniversary. I don't know how I feel about the anniversaries, because it shows, time's moving on, but at the same time, it also shows that it's when you're passionate about something, as I am with law, and you're lucky enough also, to be able to practice it, that you are there's longevity, as they say, because you like doing it. Like now, I do like doing this, and I do like being with you. So salamat po uli. Anyway, I digress. I got quite excited there because I just realized I'm over 33 years. My goodness me. Anyway, so just to say again, it's ang pangalan ko po Lira Simon Kabatbat, because I can't even remember whether I introduced myself in the beginning. Ang topic po natin ngayon, my goodness me, in the last week, I'm not really sure quite what happened. Topic po natin yon, all the questions are to do with relationships. Maybe it's because Valentine's is coming, or people have over the Christmas period had a bit of a think nga, and of course the New Year, and people are keen to make a start, or indeed some of our yung mga viewers nga natin, some are problems that they're just, it's not their fault. It's not something they brought about. It simply has happened. So all our questions today are to do with spouse applications, the things that have gone wrong. Questions nga is what's the solution? What application can I make? All of that. And I'm particularly grateful nga to one of the viewers nga who's posed this question, our star question nga. So as I say, ang topic po natin yon, spouse applications problems. And we'll be dealing with all sorts of scenarios. Extension nga ng visa, where it's not easy nga to extend. Applying for a fee waiver kung wala nga kayong pera, applying outside the normal rules. We even have a question about what do you do if your spouse cheated on you? So it's going to be a very interesting night. And I hope that you'll be able to join me nga. So let me just read to yung question nga nung, yung question natin, yung star question nga natin, which led me to this spouse application problems topic. So ito po. And I do like the way you started. So hello po, sabi niya, no? Please don't judge me. I'm not sure whether to feel more sad or I'm not really sure. No, please don't judge me. We won't judge you, of course, no. And so sabi nga niya, no, I'm married to a British citizen, no, but we've been separated for a few months now. I'm currently working full time and staying with a friend. I'm 7 months pregnant. Nabuntis po ako ng asawa ko before kami naghiwalay, no. Sinabi po niya na wala siyang plano para sa anak namin o para sa akin. My due date is on 9 April. So it's really not long now, you know. And I need to renew my visa on 29 March. Matatapos ng visa niya. Matatapos ng visa niya bago siya manganganak, no? Sinabi po sa husband ko na hindi niya gagalawin ang visa ko as long as ako magbabayad ng renewal. Wala po akong ipon o pera para sa visa renewal. Ano po kayang posibleng mangyari? Ayaw kong bumalik sa Pilipinas kasama ng baby ko. Nag-apply po ako ng fee waiver. Pag-usapan natin yan, noong November pa. So that's what, November, December, January, February, 3 months na. But it's actually not unusual. Pero hanggang ngayon, wala pa ring response. Napapagod na po talaga ako. I'm not surprised. Pwede po ba akong maging dependent ng anak ko since British naman ang tatay niya? Gulong-gulo na pong utak ko, sabi niya. What a great question. What a horrible situation. No? So yun pong pag-uusapan natin that's our star question. And salamat po ulit for putting that. And please, no, the way you started, please don't judge me. We wouldn't judge you. No, una nga, this is not something na kasalanan mo. It's happening out to you. So what can we do? So lots of topics, lots of issues there. So yung topic po natin nga ngayon, yung star question nga natin. But hindi nga lang yun. We have lots more. All to do nga with spouse applications, the problems that people have are encountering. So ang gagawin po natin mamaya, we'll go through all of those. Kung meron kayong mga questions, especially if it's actually related to our main topic, don't be shy. It's by all means, post it nga, no? And kung gusto niyo kung kamustahin nga mamaya, please do, no? Alam niyo ang paborito ko is the batian section. Anyway, I won't go on too long because we have lots to get through tonight nga. So we're going to take a quick break and then we're going to launch into our topic. Okay? Saglit nga lang po. Welcome back. Welcome back to Lira and Law. Thank you very much again for joining me for our usual Thursday get-together from 7:30. No? Now, topic po natin nga ngayon, star question natin is from one of our viewers and it is spouse applications problems. Now, just to recap very briefly, yung problema nga niya. Dumating siya dito, she's married to a British citizen, okay? Unfortunately, separated na nga sila. She's working full-time. She's 7 months pregnant. Ang visa niya matatapos 29th of March. No? But she's due to give birth on the 9th of April. So her visa will expire before so she needs to renew her visa before the 29th of March, and she's due to give birth nga on the 9th of April. So essentially her visa will expire first before she gives birth, but it's pretty close. And for those of you who have had children, or you know that, yeah, okay, that's a due date, 9th of April, but it could be well before that. Okay, so it's good to actually consider this now. So sabi niya, okay, yung asawa niya, sabi niya, oh, wala akong pakialam sa iyo, hindi ko gagalawin. That means, presumably that means, no, hindi siya magsusumbong sa home office. Hindi ko gagalawin visa mo kung ikaw magbabayad. Wala akong pakialam. No? Wala akong plano para sa iyo, wala akong plano para sa mga bata. Sa bata nga. One nice man, no? So sabi niya, okay, anong pwede kong gawin? Wala akong pera. No? So ginawa nga niya, which is actually the right thing to have done, is she's made an application for a fee waiver, no? But that application was made back in November. We're now, of course, February. It's not unusual, mabagal sila. But in order to successfully get a fee waiver, you need to actually really prove to them na wala kang ang pera. It could be that you can do that. No? So hopefully you provided them nga with your bank statements. Pinakita mo din na hiwalay na nga kayo. So you are, now you're pregnant nga, you're going to give birth. And so hopefully they will actually grant nga your fee waiver. But be careful. So let's just talk a little bit about fee waivers, because that's something that's become more popular. No? In the last siguro few 3, 4, 5 years nga. In the past, no one really made use of the fee waiver because they were concerned that if you apply for a fee waiver, it's then implied that you can't support yourself in the UK without recourse to public funds. Now, may still be implied, but it's certainly one that's used by more people now, probably because there's no choice. Yeah? Now, so let's talk very briefly about fee waivers. So fee waivers, it's an application to the Home Office that basically you're saying, I can't afford the Home Office fee. And so please, and the IHS fee, and because of that, please waive the fee. So if you're destitute, talagang walang pera, meron kayong mga bata, it could be that you get the fee waiver, but the conditions are very, very strict. They will need to see bank statements, as I say. Oftentimes, they will also want to see a list of your expenses nga, kung may income ka yun. So it's actually quite a long-winded application. Now, if you make an application for fee waiver, bago nga, and matatapos na yung visa mo. So hindi pa tapos, you made the application for fee waiver bago matatapos yung visa mo. You can actually wait until you got your fee waiver, even though natapos na yung visa mo, but your visa is then, if you like, extended. No, you're not at that point considered an overstayer. Dahil nag-iintay ka ng resulta ng fee waiver. Okay. So if you make kung makuha mo yung fee waiver and you make the application, and you make the application within 10 days really of being granted it, that would mean that you have made, from the Home Office's point of view, you've made an application in time. Okay. But beware. If you get refused your first application for a fee waiver, tapos you say, oh, okay, I'll make another application, but by that time, matatapos na yung visa nyo, o tapos na yung visa nyo, no? If you don't apply nga within 10 days of the refusal, that means that your continuous residence in the United Kingdom is broken. Ibig sabihin, at that point, strictly speaking, you're an overstayer. No, if you make another application for fee waiver, and then that also is out of time. So your what they call 3C leave, the automatic extension of your visa, will only apply 3C leave in relation to the first application for fee waiver, not the second. Okay. maraming mga tao, they're caught out by that. So they make an application for fee waiver, tapos it's refused, and then they make another application for fee waiver. But in the meantime, natapos nga ang visa na, akala nila, it automatically extends the visa again. Hindi po, not for the second time. So beware of that, no? So sa'yo, I mean, you should hear really before the 29th of March. I expect you'll probably hear this month. Okay, they're taking a bit long, but even if you don't hear before the 29th of March, your visa, no, is safeguarded by this 3C leave, because of course otherwise what's the point, no? You're waiting for the fee waiver, but beware, you should submit your application within 10 days, okay, of the result, either way. Yeah? If you miss that deadline, then they may consider you to be an overstayer, and that will would affect the application you're going to make later on. No? What application you can make later on. Pag-usapan din natin yun. So yun ang una-una. Fee waivers, absolutely, if you need it, dahil wala kang pera, rather than not making the application, no? Make the application for fee waiver. Mahaba nga lang. But don't forget, you need to provide bank statements. If you're renting you need to provide tenancy. Nakikita lang sa kaibigan mo, sabi mo dito. So maybe they have a tenancy o sulat galing sa kanila na ito nga, kinukup ka nga nila because they feel sorry for you, no? So all of those things so you need to make your case nga, okay? And as I say, don't forget, if you get refused your application for fee waiver, immediately make an application for extension of your leave to remain, okay? Don't delay. I've had a few clients who've been caught out by that simply because they did not know that actually the 3C leave to remain will not then apply, or the 3C provisions will not then apply to the second after the first refusal of the fee waiver. So you're on, okay? Now, then so that's the issue of the fee waiver nga. Let's say, going back to you, you get the fee waiver and you make your application nga, either before the 29th of March or on the 29th of March or after the 29th of March, because the fee waiver decision did not come through until then. But it's still okay, no? As long as it comes through. Now, due date mo, 9th of April. So it could be that by the time na nanganak ka, you've already submitted your application. It could also be that nanganak na matatapos na yung visa mo bago ka manganganak, no? Now, what to do? No? Now, if your due date is the 9th of April, but you make an application before that because your visa is going to expire on the 29th of March, then with a baby who is going to be British, the British nga yung ama niya, okay, you can make an application to vary your leave to remain. Papalitan mo yung visa mo nga from a spouse under what's called the parent route. I'm going to show you. I'll see if I can post it, or if you send me your email, yung contact details mo, I'll send you the link. No? So basically, it's the government website, the Home Office website. Actually, if you just simply type in family visa parent, no, it should bring you to that. Otherwise, I'm happy to send you the link. So ang mangyayari, you need to make an application kung nanganak ka na, no? Because of course, if you haven't given birth yet, you can't make an application as a parent because you're not yet a parent. You need to actually wait until your baby's born. So if your baby's born, you can make an application before your visa expires under the parent route. As long as you continue to have leave to remain as a partner, it would be a variation an extension. Dahil may visa ka pa no? And that's why I was saying to you, importante nga na alagaan mo yung continuous residence. Because if your continuous residence is broken, no? When you make the application under the parent route, they will say, well, no, we will not consider it under the parent route because you didn't have a visa at the time of making the application. So importante nga yun. So you make this application to under the parent route once you've had your baby and before your visa expires, or as soon as you get your fee waiver application. Okay, so those are the three deadlines, if you like. You know? Now, I'll talk you through the main conditions of the parent route. But let's look at it the other possible scenario nga. Sabihin natin, hindi ka pa nanganak, pero matatapos na yung visa mo, no? So let's say you actually, your visa is expiring. Sabi mo, your visa is expiring on 29th of March. But actually, that is the case here. No, sorry, so it's getting it mixed up. Due date mo is the 9th of April. Hindi ka pa nanganak. What do you do in the meantime? Because you, of course, have a little over a week to bridge. No? Now, ang payo ko, importante pa rin, alagaan mo yung continuous residency mo. No? So you must make an application before your visa expires, unless, of course, they have not yet decided your application for fee waiver. No, that automatically extends your leave to remain. So let's say they already did, or they said no, but you're going to give birth, but matatapos ng visa mo. What application do you make? Because of course your baby's not born yet. So you can't make an application under the parent route. You can make an application on exceptional circumstances. Okay. Again, I can send you the link to that. So you make an application under the exceptional circumstances. Now you then say there, anong nangyari? No, basically you fell pregnant in the UK. You're separated now, and you need to explain. Also, you need to say, you need to be truthful to the Home Office that you're now separated, and that's why you're looking to apply to extend your visa in exceptional circumstances because you're due to give birth. Also, you can't travel. No, they're not going to let you on board a plane if you're due to give birth. You make that application. Now, it could be that your your fee waivers is successful, in which case you don't need to pay the Home Office fee and the IHS surcharge. But it could also be that they say no, in which case you have to pay the fee. But the application, as I say, is exceptional circumstances. Now, let's say that you made that application, and then you give birth. Now, baby comes on the 9th of April or the 19th of April, whenever baby comes. So, but in the meantime, meron ka ng application sa Home Office. Okay? Now, the application to the Home Office then needs to be changed. You need to apply to vary your leave to remain, and this is where it gets tricky. Right? So, you entered the UK as a spouse. You looked to change that spouse visa on exceptional circumstances. So, but before, they're not going to deal with it that quickly. Not in a matter of a week, 2 weeks even, or even, frankly, 2 months. And also, you need to do your biometric enrollment. I can't see that the Home Office will deal with it that quickly. Now, so you then change, apply to vary that application, the exceptional circumstance application, to the parent route, because now you have your baby. Okay? As I say, if you send me your contact details, I'll send you the link. So it's under the family visa parent route. What do you need to show? Okay, to succeed, you need to be able to show may visa ka pa. Right? That's why alagaan mo yung continuous residence mo, right? Yung visa mo. They will ask you again to pay the IHS and the Home Office fee. But it could be, if you were entitled before for a fee waiver, you can make this application again. Now, so you may need to apply for fee waiver again. But this is a new application, no? Now, if you paid, they will refund you back the what you paid before. It's a new application. Also, it's a different route. You will need to make an application. You will need to also provide an English language test. So you already did this for your spouse application, yung A1 nga. But you of course used it for that application under spouse nga. Kung ako ikaw, I would just do now, bago ka manganganak, an A2. So it's a bit higher than the A1 nga that they ask. But to be frank, matagal ka na dito, I can't see na hindi ka papasa ng A2. And it's the same amount, And the A2 may be useful for you when you apply for jobs, Because it's of course it's a certificate, but the A1 you can also use, but of course it's a lower level. So the A2 you can maybe use for jobs. Now the only thing that they also say is you need to be able to show that you have you do not need or will not require recourse to public funds. That gets a bit tricky now, Now, kung wala kang pera nga ngayon, then it could be that they say no recourse to public funds. Now, importante po, pagka nagpasok ka ng application nga later on when you submit documents in support, it could be that the moment you're on maternity leave, could be, right? And your when your baby's born, you can then potentially get alternative employment. It could even be that you have employment. Sabi nga lang nila, pagka nanganak ka na, of course, you can then go full-time, for example, if they say that. So you need to address that issue, that this need for the fee waiver is, if you like, a temporary need because you're pregnant, you're heavily pregnant, actually. So that may also, because of your health, limit the hours that you can do. Also, you've just separated from your husband. So all those things has added to an unusual drain on your funds. But pagka nanganak ka na o nanganak ka na, you will be able to support yourself in the UK without recourse to public funds because meron kang job offer, all of that. O meron kang mga kaibigan na tumutulong nga sa'yo, o meron kang mag-anak na tumutulong sa'yo, by way of, say, accommodation, let's say. But you do need to address it because that's part and parcel of the condition. Not being they want to see that you're unlikely to have no recourse to public funds. The upside with this route is there's no minimum income requirement. Under the spouse application, you will need to show that you and your husband or your partner have a minimum joint income, if you're both allowed to work in the UK, of £29,000. Kung kadadating mo lang dito, it could be that applies to you now, the higher level of £29,000. But if you arrived here or you made your application before December 2023, it could be that you're under the lower minimum income requirement, which is £18,600. Okay. But anyway, that's not an issue now under the parent route. When you make your application under the parent route, and itong tip ko, make in your statement or if you're submitting letter and representations, make mention of two things. Article 8, which is right to family, okay? And Section 55, BCIA, that's to do with considering children best interest as primary consideration. Those two things, mention it somewhere in your letter, okay? The Home Office should anyway, even if you don't mention it, they should consider it. But the reason I would say you mention it firstly, just in case, they forget about considering those issues. I can't imagine they would, but mention them. But also, it potentially, in mentioning them, it could be then that you get a right of appeal, in case you get a refusal, right? So just to summarize, what do you need to do now? do not the A2 test, no, because otherwise you will need to try and argue that the A1 you did before can be used for the parent root application. To be frank, it's just you have enough problems. Just do the A2. Or okay, if necessary, just do the A1. But might as well do the A2 because it's probably something you can use, as I say, for a job. And also, start preparing yung statement mo, no? Or letter of representations. So you say then there, your income at the moment is your funds is limited because of all these things that have happened. But actually, when your baby is born, you have these as plans. So in due course, you will not be you will not be necessary to have recourse to public funds. So, but if you send me nga your details, papadala ko yun sa'yo, yung link nga, and I'll see if I'll try and remember to send to you also the link to the rules. So makikita mo what you need to tick. It can be a bit confusing, no? Appendix FM, but it hopefully gives you an idea kung anong kailangan mong pakita. All right. Just to say, no, you can you should get the result of your fee waiver application. Regardless of what happens there, make sure you make your application. Okay. The application you make will depend on whether your baby's born or not yet at the time you make your application. If your baby's not yet born, then you can't make an application under the parent root yet because the baby is not born. You make an application, though, under exceptional circumstances, for example, and then when the baby is born, you change that, you apply to vary that application under the parent root. But to succeed with the parent root, you need your A1 or A2 test. So gawin mo na ngayon, no? And you need to also address the issue of your funds, your funding. What are you living on? No? So no recourse to public funds. If you succeed under the parent route, ang visa bibigay sa'yo, again, is 2.5 years. So very, very similar actually to spouse visa. And during that time, you can work, you can stay in the UK, of course, you don't need to go back to the Philippines. And your baby, of course, can stay with you. Under the parent route, you can then apply, so you get 2.5 years under the parent route, you need to apply a further 2.5 years. So very, very similar to spouse visa nga. So you apply for further 2.5 years. So once you're 5 years under the parent route, then you can apply for indefinite leave to remain. You're going to ask me, can you conjoin the two, no? The 2.5 years and then the 2.5 years? No, you can't. So you cannot join the 2.5 years for spouse and the parent route to make the 5 years. You need to actually complete 5 years under the parent route. Okay, so that would be the position. No? By the way, your child, boy or girl, no, will be British, and so they will be entitled to some benefits. They are entitled to those benefits. Yung nga lang ikaw hindi. No? This no recourse na to public funds. Right? Okay. I hope that's helpful. I like this question. I really like this question because it's very relevant. It's actually, unfortunately, not a scenario that I've not seen before. It certainly has happened, and it will happen again. So hopefully that gives you some idea. So I go back to your your second sentence. Sabi mo dito, please don't judge me. No way, we don't judge. No, definitely not. In fact, I am grateful for you posting your question. I hope it's helpful. Let me know what happens. People never tell me what happens, and truly, it's like reading a book and then stopping halfway. You never know what happens. Now, I know we have other questions. Now, let me just see. Should we do the bati and muna, or no? Let's do the questions because it's now. So because we may be running out of time. No, okay. Now, so sabi nito, question again to do with spouses. Please enlighten me po regarding my 10-year route experience. Originally, I was on a 5-year route under a spouse visa. However, when I applied for visa extension after 2.5 years, hindi ko po alam na require pala yung A2 or B1, sabi niya, English test. I'll deal with that point in a moment. Ang nagamit ko po ay yung old A1 English test certificate ko. To make the story short, dahil po sa English test issue, the Home Office moved me to the 10-year route. I arrived in the UK in October 2016. So technically, 10 years na po ako dito by October 2026. No? This year nga, no? Upon checking my visa, valid po ito until April 2027. Okay? Question ko po, pwede po bang mag-apply ng indefinite leave to remain in October 2026 since 10 years na po ako dito by that time, o kailangan ko po bang hintayin until April 2027? Again, a brilliant question because it's actually not an unusual scenario nga ito. And it also deals nga with things, again, that can go wrong. And so let me just deal with that first. Bear with me. And then sasagutin yung question mo. Now, kung dumating kayo nga dito as a spouse, no? Absolutely, yung sabi nga niya dito, normally it's a 5-year route. So ibig sabihin, no, ang visa bibigay sa inyo, first visa, 2.5 years. Actually, a little bit more than that. Usually it's 33 months in total. You need to extend that visa and subject to conditions being satisfied nga, bibigyan kayo uli ng 2.5 years, 30 months visa. When you have completed 5 years or nearly 5 years, leave to remain in the United Kingdom on a spouse under the spousal route, then and only then, then you can make an application for indefinite leave to remain. Problem, though, is what happens if you don't satisfy all the conditions they want to see, like our viewer, no? So hindi siya nagpasok, nagbigay ng tamang English language certificate, which is such a pity, but it's actually something I see fairly regularly, no? So A1 yung ginamit niya, and then she didn't realize kailangan niya ng A2. So hindi siya nagbigay, ginamit niya yung luma niyang A1, and somehow, and the Home Office may not have said anything, and they just refused it, no? Now, it's not B1. Sabi mo dito, A1 or B1. Hindi po B1. B1 is what you are at the moment required to provide under this kind of visa when you're applying for indefinite leave to remain. So, A2 ang kailangan. In some cases, you can make use of your A1, but in other cases, A2. So, but in this case, sabi niya, akala niya A1, ang gagamit nga yung luma niyang A1, but in fact, it was A2, and I think the Home Office was probably correct in this case nga. So, ang ginawa nila, sabi nila, okay, you don't satisfy all the conditions. We accept that your relationship is ongoing. We accept the income is fine, either 18,600 or 29,000 pounds. We accept that there's accommodation. We accept that you're suitable, as in no criminal record or anything like that. But we don't accept that you provided sufficient evidence of your English. And in fairness to the Home Office, when I have encountered this with clients, normally they would write a letter to say, look, you've given us the wrong English language certificate. Do you have an A2? And normally they give also a little bit of time. But anyway, I'm not sure na ginawa nila ito para sa'yo, but the long and short of it is you were moved then from 5 years to 10-year route, which must have been heartbreaking for you because, of course, doble, no? Now, so the lesson to be gleaned from this is this. Ingat nga kayo. Just because you already have the 2.5 years visa and they already accepted you're in a relationship, do not assume that you will just get the second 2.5 year visa. You need to be able to tick all the boxes. So go through the conditions again. And as I say, evidence of your genuine and subsisting relationship, evidence nga of income, evidence of I know English language A2 in this case nga, evidence of accommodation, okay? So all of those things kailangan yung pakita pa rin. Make sure you tick all the boxes, because otherwise, yeah, you move from 5 years to 10 years. Now, good news is time has gone on. Ang question mo really is, when do you apply? Because if you entered the United Kingdom with a spouse visa nga, and your continuous residence, we're going back to the first question nga natin, start question natin, no? If you're going, if your continuous residence has not been broken, no? So pumasok ka dito, may visa ka, nagpasok ka ng application, unfortunately, it was refused. You made the application in time, but it was refused because of this blasted A1 or A2 test nga. But otherwise, there was no gap. No, your continuous residence is not broken. If that's the case, then the starting point is would then be October 2016. Yeah, but as I say again, beware that you need to ensure that the continuous residence was not broken, because that's where, if it was broken, then they start from the time that it was granted again. So let's say it was not broken, it's 2016. You're right. No, we're 2026 now. In October 2026 is coming, and your visa expires in April 2027. You can make the application once you have completed 10 years leave to remain. So you're making an application, by the way, not under the spousal route, no? You can make the application either. Well, you can make an application under the family private life route, 10 years nga, or the family route, or indeed the private life route, which is again 10 years. But either way, you can make an application in October 2026. Tip ko, if you're making an application under the long residence route, the private life route, make sure that you have evidence enough, good evidence also, to show that actually you have been continuously living in the United Kingdom, despite the fact that, of course, you've applied. They accepted you were here. You applied again. Don't assume that they're going to look back at the details now before. When you make your application for indefinite leave to remain, start from the beginning. So you say October 2016. What evidence do you have? No? It could be bank statements, bills, council tax, no? NHS, registration with the doctor. You probably were registered with the doctor then. So all those things, bigay mo, no? And don't do it, no, 2 pieces in 2016, 2 pieces in 2017. No. It has to be more than that. So it has to be more substantial than that also. You may be over-egging it, but it's more important that you over-egg it than under, no? So lagay mo doon. So you say, okay, October ito, 2016, November ito, 2016. And if you have bank statements and you've kept your bank statements for all this time, send them, no? It's quite a lot. Better to send it than not, no? Better to have more, but good ones, okay? So don't send them. I've seen people try and provide bus tickets. What use is that? They won't know that was your bus ticket 5 years ago. It has to be linked to you. There has to be dates also. No? Cards, but they're not dated. No? Or even if they're dated, it's just a card. No, it's not posted. They're not really interested in the card. They're interested in the postmark. No, and that it's addressed to you. So you don't even need to send a card. You just need to send the envelope with the postmark. No, so be careful with the evidence you're going to provide, and make sure that they're relevant. And don't just send them, all of them. No, lista nyo. As I say, put it in date order. When I'm preparing these types of applications, I put it absolutely in date order. I also note what they are. I even go on to say how relevant they are. So it's relevant because this is your GP, for example, for that time, bank statements for that time, or council tax, or so it's for you to say this document I'm submitting is relevant because, and put it in date order. So pagka nakita ng home office yung application nyo, they can then see, okay, itong pinadala nila, they can just take it, no? Make their life a bit easier. Because kung magulo, then it's more likely that they may say, well, we don't really, we don't see that you actually satisfy the private life route. So yun ang hint ko, okay? So do that. So the answer is you can make an application by October 2026. Again, good luck. But please tell me what happens, okay? I'm always saying this. Please tell me what happens because I want to know. Now, let me have a look. I'm sure we have other questions. Natin. So let me have a look now. So that's let me just see if I can move. So this is the problem when you're on live, no? You have glitches. So let me just see if I can, otherwise I will just read to you now the question if I can't move the questions. So sandali. Let me just see. Yeah, okay. So ito. Good day. Good day to you too, no? I would like to ask for advice regarding a UK spouse visa application. My British partner and I are planning to have a very small civil wedding in the Philippines with only the two of us present and no family attending at this time. Don't you need witnesses? Okay. We plan to have a proper celebration of vow renewal with our families at a later date. I would like to ask whether having a very small, and she likes to emphasize they're very small, or private civil wedding could affect how UKVI assesses our relationship as genuine and subsisting. I'm also hoping to know if this type of wedding would require extra explanation or additional evidence when applying for spouse visa. Thank you very much for your time and advice. Quick answer, no. Having I can see where this is coming from. It was it's actually one of those rumors that that I come across actually fairly regularly. Sabi ng kliyente ko, if you have a small wedding, then it kind of it may mean that it's not a genuine marriage nga. The Home Office are not concerned about how many people you invite, okay? That it's a civil wedding rather than a church wedding. They are concerned to establish absolutely that the relationship is genuine. And I suppose if you pay 10,000 pounds for a wedding, then it may be that I suppose you can, some people may say, it's more likely that that's a genuine marriage rather than not, because, why would you splash out 10,000 pounds and invite people when it's not really true, I suppose. But my observation of the Home Office is that's not really where they start. Also, if you're getting married now in the Philippines, so it's not that you are you're in the UK and you need to stay in the UK and need to be able to show that your relationship is genuine. That's why you're getting married. But you're getting married actually in the Philippines, which means it's an entry into the United Kingdom. So if you want a civil wedding, a very small civil wedding, I can't see that that's a problem. What I would, however, advise, tip ko ito, provide evidence of your relationship before the wedding. So, kung doon kayo nakatira, maybe something from your family, friend, whoever you're living with. If you're renting, again, something from the tenancy agreement nga. Kung usually dito siya nakatira, nandun ka sa atin, nagpapadala siya sa iyo, remittances, again, So, I would be less concerned about the type of wedding that you have, but more concerned about the evidence you're going to submit in support of the genuineness of your relationship. So if you have remittances, as I say, or bank account, joint account together, or indeed you have bills together, all of those things. And tip ko, prepare a statement. Okay, with these types of applications, entry visa to the UK as a spouse, for example, it never hurts to explain to the Home Office when did you meet? How did you meet? No, how did you have you kept in contact nga? How long has he or she been living in the been in the Philippines nga? No, because binibisita ka ba? So have you been on holidays together? So it's for you to really explain what your circumstances are. And another tip, you do not have to be melodramatic about it. I've seen statements nga that are kind of, because I love him, so okay, Valentine's is coming up, so I suppose you can, but you don't have to. The Home Office, what they want to see are facts. No, if you were living together, say so. When did you start? No, if you were living together, where were you living together? If you're not living together, why? Because he lives maybe, or she lives in the UK. If you're visiting, no, your fiance nga in the Philippines, your passport will probably be stamped, or tickets nga. So factual stuff, no, less the lovey-dovey stuff. Right. So I hope again that was helpful to you. So I've obviously elaborated on my initial reply, which is no, doesn't make any difference. Now let me just see. I think we have some more questions, but let me just check it. Okay, it's a sad one. No? So question po niya, no? Hello po, sabi niya, no? Gusto ko lang pong itanong kung sakaling nag-cheat, no, ang asawa at dependent po ako sa kanya, no? May mga government programs po ba dito sa UK na pwede kong applyan para mapa-extend ang visa ko, or eventually mag-apply ng ILR, indefinite leave to remain, kahit hindi nga nakadepende sa asawa na nag-cheat? Again, it's a scenario of that's not, that's not uncommon. Now, cheating, no? So may relationship, meron kayong relasyon, you're married nga, and then he goes off to with someone else, no? But cheating is not domestic violence. It may feel like that, but it's not. However, domestic violence, the reason why I mentioned domestic violence is, what kind of other application can you make? However, domestic violence goes beyond physical violence, physical abuse. So kahit hindi ka nga niya ginugulpe, but there are other things that he does that's abusive towards you, then it could be that you would still satisfy the very high threshold of domestic violence, the DV route, the domestic violence route. So, for example, coercive behavior. So, I've had cases where the spouse basically has said, "So, what are you going to do about it? No, I'm cheating. So, what are you going to do about it? Because otherwise, I'm not going to help you with your visa." And he would then gaslight her, you're crazy. This is not the case, and so it's all that could amount actually to domestic abuse. And coercive behavior certainly is one. So if they're saying, well, unless you do this, unless you keep quiet, I'm going to get you deported. That could also amount to coercive behavior. So if that is yung behavior nga niya, then it could be that you can make an application under the DV route, the domestic violence route. But otherwise, that's really, I suppose, the only route. Now, saying that, you of course you are here as a dependent nga, no? So you can swap these types of visas also to something else. So for example, under the skilled worker route. So kung meron kang merong sasalo nga sa iyo na employer, meron silang cost certificate of sponsorship, and you're qualified for that, and you you can achieve all the points nga, then it could be that you can make an application to vary your leave to remain from that of a spouse to something else. You know? Good luck. I hope that I hope it goes well for you. Right? Now, so itong contact details namin, I'm not sure that we can squeeze in any hellos because I've used up all the time dealing with the questions, no? So sandali nga lang, tingnan natin if we can squeeze in a few hellos, assuming Mariam Galicia Paner. Hello po, Attorney. Sabi niya, musta po sa lahat? Happy Thursday po. Happy Thursday, Miss Paner. If you were watching earlier, di ba sabi ko, meron kaming mga kaibigan o viewers nga who started with us because of COVID. Miss Paner is one of them. Di ba, Miss Paner? Yeah? Musta po si Watson? Watson. It just shows you how devoted, no, Miss Paner is to watching nga. Watson, for those of you who are new viewers, is my dog, aso ko po, no? He is a very big, no, fat really is the word I was thinking about, no? Labrador, white Labrador, laging kumakain. David Calixto II. Magandang gabi po. Magandang gabi din sa iyo, David. How are you? Okay ba? Kamusta sa atin, no? Lorna, Miss Diesta, Lorna Diesta. Good evening po, Attorney Lira. Sabi niya, I hope you're keeping well. I am. How are you, Miss Diesta? Are you well? I like this picture. This is a new picture, no? Egay, the great guy from London. Rainy Thursday. Oh, gosh, yeah, tama ka. Rainy Thursday to Attorney Lira and to the viewers. Take care when going out. Absolutely. Mandulas kayo, no? I worked in Canary Wharf today. Good news, Attorney Lira. Sabi niya, I'm still ambassador of Tap Tap Send, a remittance company. Use Egay. Oh, Egay the guy. Oh, as bonus code for £15 for first-time users. Sabi niya, looking forward to lots of learning again and to Attorney Lira's lovely voice. Egay the great guy. There you go. Miss Rafael. We love Miss Rafael. Miss Rafael hails from Wimbledon. Hello, Attorney Lira. Sabi niya, good evening and happy Thursday, everyone. Enjoy watching. Salamat po, Miss Rafael. Yeah, Miss Rafael hails from the iconic Wimbledon, no, London nga, where they have, of course, tennis, no? Marilyn Jones, Miss Jones, a code, tama ka, no? Rainy Thursday evening, Attorney Lira and all viewers. Kamusta ka, Miss Jones? Yeah, I'm tama. I don't know, the last week, it's been cold. Tapos laging umuulan, no? Actually, I was speaking to a friend nga, no? Sabi niya sa akin, no, nadulas nga siya. So, ingat kayo, no? Oh, Jimariah Cook, sabi niya, what requirements to renew spouse visa? Thank you po. After that po, kailangan po anong pwedeng mag-apply ng ILR. Okay, let me just, so requirements to renew spouse visa. Requirements to renew spouse visa, you will see from, if you care to look, Appendix FM. Okay, so Google Appendix FM, immigration. The gist of it is you need to be able to show pretty much what you showed before, but English language, it could be probably A2. To be on the safe side, go for A2. As proof of that, to extend. Income, it's either 18,600 if you come under the old law or 29,000 pounds if you come under the new law. Accommodation, it doesn't have to be owned by you, it can be rented. As long as it's a room that is occupied by just the two of you. Suitability, so you've not been subject to criminal or indeed civil bankruptcy, that kind of thing, no? And of course, genuineness of your relationship, that you are indeed in the UK as a couple, no? Now, indefinite leave to remain, so let's say 2.5 nakuha mo na, another 2.5 pagka indefinite ka na. Pretty much all of those, but the English language is tougher. At the moment, it's B1. At the moment, I know that there are moves to make it harder. So they're looking at potentially also increasing it to B2, like some routes na nga ngayon. And the life in the UK test. The life in the UK test, that is tougher than the B1. So kung ako kayo, allow ample time to pass the life in the UK test, right? So hopefully that's of help to you. So now, when I applied for in the Philippines, sabi niya dito from Miss Cook, in my when I applied to appoint Philippines of my spouse visa, a B1 English test, and they didn't question me about it. But yeah, they wouldn't because it's such a high level. It's just the minimum requirement nga is A1. Kung meron kang B1, yeah, of course they will accept that because they will say, oh gosh, B1, that's much higher actually than the A1 required, because you have the A1 and then you have the A2. I'm not sure whether there's an A3, but absolutely B1 is higher. So yeah, they won't question you. Oh, Miss Paner said, oh po, 5 years na po, or 6 years na since COVID. Yeah, Miss Paner, I think tama ka. I think 6 years na. Dahil 2026 na tayo, no? Beginning. So yeah, wow. We've been together that long, madam, ha? Okay lang po, salamat po. Yeah, Miss Paner, I remember her from like 6 years ago, no? Astonishing. Truly astonishing. Ange Cordero. Good evening, Attorney Lira. God bless, madam. Are you well? I like this picture of you. Wow. You look very serious. Kamusta po? Now, I think that may be, I'm sorry that took a while. I hope you found it interesting. I certainly find the topic of spouses, relationship applications very interesting. And there are just so many variations as to what can go wrong. And if you are at all unsure, hindi nyo alam, then please seek independent legal advice. No? You can even see, if you just want to, just a kind of an initial advice nga, you can do it on a fixed fee basis. A lot of firms apply that nga, in which case they would just say to you, okay, it's like, £80, for example, inclusive of VAT, and then they may be able to point you in some, the right direction nga. If you want to instruct them later on, your solicitors like me would then say, well, okay, this is the cost. So seek independent legal advice. Yun ang payo ko. If you are at all unsure about your legal position, and certainly the people, most of the questions nga ng mga kababayan natin who pose the questions, think a big chunk of them could certainly do with independent legal advice. Now, just really leaves me to say, thank you very much again for joining me. Always a thrill to be with you on our Thursday get-together at Lira in Law. And as I say, I think next week I will be 33 years post-qualification experience in the UK. So I do hope that you will be able to join me again next week at Lira and Law on our usual Thursday get-together from 7:30 and usually to 8:30, but tonight, of course, beyond 8:30. So I hope that you'll be able to join me. And I thank you again to the Facebook groups that allowed us to post our contents now on their pages. And absolutely, thank you very much for the viewers, mga kababayan natin, especially those who post questions. And you see what happens when you post questions. You have the chance of being a star question, and I unpack your question to the best of my abilities, and hopefully with enough detail to help you nga. So, just leaves me again to say thank you again. Salamat po. Always a pleasure to be with you. I hope to see you again. I hope you can join me next week again at Lira and Law. Same time, same place. Good night.